Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hi, red.olaughlin here, Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And today we are not only on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, also on the E360 TV that we're usually on, but the network is growing. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck's doing a fantastic job of getting this program out to the world. We are also on Amazon Fire, on Roku worldwide, and on Instagram. So little by little, there's even more coming. This program is just expanding beyond belief. It really and truly is. So let's get started. Let me load slides up here real quickly, and we will get on slide one. Let's get to slide two. I'm a researcher, never been in the medical field, never been pharmaceutical field. I fell in love in sophomore year in high school with chemistry. Something I was enamored with. I got a degree in it. Unfortunately, got an invitation to Vietnam, never got a chance to practice chemistry officially as a chemist. A couple bits and pieces here, there, and yonder, but nothing to really say I was one. But late in life, an opportunity presented itself, and I got a chance to delve back into the field. And I'm going to say less than about 8 years ago, I started switching over from my writing, my speaking, everything that I was doing on motivation, self-improvement, inspirational, all that stuff, switched over to health and wellness. And so nowadays I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. You have a cell, something happens in that cell, an enzyme is created, the protein reacts with it a certain way. Certain things happen, and they happen all the time, no matter what. But sometimes a little bit of something comes into the equation and speeds it up or slows it down, and then you have mutations, then you have other things. So what I look for is what causes things to happen. If you treat a cause, you can generally fix a problem. If you treat symptoms, you'll always be treating symptoms. But symptoms can also mask or hide the real damage, because the cause is still there, it's still going, but there's nothing you're doing to treat the cause. So as always, this show is about awareness, about education. We talked about STEM, S.T.E.M, very common: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But we're looking at stress, toxins, emotions, and mental affecting our physical health and primarily our longevity. And emotional health and mental health aren't the same thing. We're going to talk about mental health here in a couple of weeks. But just as physical health is critical for our longevity, so is our mental health. But our emotional health is just as critical. But those are areas we just don't talk about. Emotional health is really our well-being. Yeah, what's our well-being? It's, well, how happy are you? And if you know a little bit about happiness, there's just so many different things about it. It really and truly is, I'm going to say 80%, maybe more. It's what we expect in life. If things are always expecting the worst, that's kind of the lifestyle we're going to have. If we're expecting fun and enjoyment, that's, even if we don't have it, we're still going to be happier than others. It's a measure of our self-esteem. It's a measure of our resilience. Um, Things happen to us in life. Did we learn from them? Did we acknowledge both the positive and the negative? And okay, negative happens. It happens to everyone. Uh, but do we dwell on it all the time? If we do, our emotional health probably isn't as good as it could be. Um, negative things happen to everybody. It's what happens and what we do about it. I talk about stress. Some of us reach out and grab that stress, and we just won't let it go no matter what. But part of stress is just let it go. A lot of our emotional health is our relationships. You mentioned the typical mother-in-law. I fortunately happen to have a very good mother-in-law, but others don't. You might have that cousin, that brother, sister. It doesn't matter. There's somebody, a coworker, your boss. There are relationships out there, either at home, at work, at church, at school. It doesn't matter. You have relationships, and those relationships are the foundation of your emotional health. So moving right along here. So how do we measure happiness? Well, this is one of those things that is not very objective. The scientists, the sociologists call it subjective well-being. Um, but the scientists really want to measure groups and not necessarily individuals. They measure the individuals, but they measure them on, is it very happy, quite happy, not so happy, unhappy, very unhappy? It's subjective evaluations that they're trying to put scientific measurements on. So some person's evaluation, yeah, I'm very happy, or no, I'm not. How does that compare? Because some days people are happier than others. If I try to compare it over the last couple of years, well, was I happy before COVID? Did I lose some people that COVID really affected my life? Do I have long COVID and I can't get out of the chair? Anyway, it's a not an exact science, but they try to make it exact science. But they want to correlate things. They want to put conditions on things. They want to say trending. France has more happier people than Belgium. Whatever, they look for things that they can report about, write about, and in that field, that's probably what you need. But we're not looking at the cause of emotional health. We're looking at how do we feel at the time. And sometimes you have that option on my questionnaire: no answer or don't know. And those get fed in with everything else. So if I have several no answers and don't know, and that's added in with people's quite happy, very happy, the overall answer isn't very exact. But there's a lot of things we can do. As I mentioned, statistics is a major driver in the social sciences. They look at groups, but even when you look in the area between the French and the Danish, the Chinese and the Indian, all different cultures, all different economics within that culture, lots of things that are there. And this is a little bit of a follow-up from last week, because we got through a little bit of the emotional intelligence and the emotional quotient. We talked about EI and EQ. We're just really starting to get into that field a little bit when we ended. But I went back through and I looked at that thing and I said, there really needs to be a slightly better introduction to what is emotional health. Because as I start talking about these things as to what causes us to be quite happy or not so happy, is it something we really control, or are we just along for the ride? So anyway, as I look at EI, EQ, emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, I'm looking at self-awareness. What's going on in my own emotions, in my own head, my own body. So moving along from that, EQ, emotional quotient, EI, emotional intelligence, they're focused slightly different, but in most cases, people, especially in the industry, know the subtleties, but almost everyone else uses them interchangeably. But they focus on our own ability to perceive, to understand, to manage, and to express the emotions that go with us. If we see the same kind of thing, let's say I have a football team and they get down last minute of the game, and every single time they manage to find some new way to blow it. My expectations, no matter what the situation looks like, they're gonna fail. Well, my expectation goes in that way. My emotions initially were probably pretty bad. The fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth time, okay, they're going to fail. I don't have the real negativity associated. We have the ability, we really do, to express emotions that reflect our true inner feeling. But as they get conditioned by the outside world, they change. They're not as intense. But we also use EQ to evaluate our emotional competencies. How well are we able to deal with things? How resilient are we? It's a direct measure of resilience. If we have the same thing happen, two different people, this person over here doesn't learn from their experience every single time, they're devastated. This person over here says, yeah, that happened to me before. Yeah, it happened again. Probably will happen again, but I don't care. Your resilience is the ability to accept a lot of that. You see what's going on, you understand what's going on, and you're able to deal with it. Uh, we say EQ is less reliant on our understanding because our understanding, yeah, it happened, but our ability to change our emotional perspective is the resilience part of that. So there's an intellectual part and there's a resilience part, the lessons learned. I'm amazed because in the military, we'd get ready to do an exercise and there would be books on that same exercise going back for years. And the book would say, lessons learned, 1996, lessons learned, 1995, lessons learned, whatever. And you go in there and different location, different group of people, but the same successes, the same failures. But if you look at the failures, nothing was fixed from the previous exercise. It's like nobody learned what was going on. We have a perfect chance of learning from COVID. What went wrong? What went right? But we got to be honest with ourselves. We can't keep the same narrative and say, well, yeah, but, and anyway, yeah, things happen. So let's look at emotional quotient a little bit more since we delved into emotional intelligence last week. It's our cognitive intelligence, the quotient, the intelligence, our abilities, our ability to take a look at something and say, I've seen that before. This works. This one doesn't. It's a logical reasoning. Our memory is able to pick up things better. Some people have a better linguistic proficiency. As I travel around the world, I want to know yes and no. Where's the bathroom? Uh, one beer, please. There's certain things I want to know. And sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's difficult. One of the best experiences I ever had in my life was in Taiwan. I'm leaving the hotel and they have this postcard there with the picture of the hotel on it. But you turn the postcard over and it says, take me to the cloisonne factory. And it says that in Chinese. Take me here, take me here. And when you get done, take me back to the hotel. So I have this one card. I just pointed at the uh, driver. He reads the Chinese part of it. Boom, I'm to wherever I need to go. At the end of the day, I don't worry about linguistic proficiency some places. I tried to do the same thing in Bangkok. Boom, no ability to do that. So I picked out a whole bunch of postcards of different sightseeing areas and I hold it up to the driver and he'd shake his head, yes or no. So I have one of the hotel, I have one of every place we're going to visit, and boom, off and going. So sometimes we can solve things by looking at the problem and say, how can it be solved? And like linguistic proficiency nowadays, you have a cell phone, you just type in something and you want it to be in Chinese, translated, boom, it's there. So things are easy sometimes with technology and sometimes they're not. Biggest problem about intelligent quotient IQ is the standardized testing. It's a predictor of education success. But is it really? because it doesn't capture the total person, our ability, our skills. A lot of creativity may be there, but it's not being measured. There may be a lot of problem-solving ability, and again, not being measured. So if I look at EQ, emotional quotient, EI, emotional intelligence, and IQ, our intellectual quotient, none of them really have a personality section as part of their measurement. I've taken the Myers-Briggs personality test, I'm going to say 6, 7, 8 times, a number of times. Different parts of military schools I've been to, they sense whether you're an introvert, extrovert, whether you're sensing, you're intuitive, whether you're thinking or feeling, judging or perceiving. Somebody says, yeah, how do you feel about that? Well, to me, I'm an introvert. I do not like sharing my feelings. They say, what do you think about it? Yeah, I'll tell you what I think. But if you ask me how I feel, totally different animal. People who know me would swear I'm not an introvert, but I've learned in the business since I retired a number of years ago that when I need to be an extrovert, I put on an extrovert hat. I do my job. Thank you very much. End of story. I take that off and I bury it someplace and I go back to being in my introvert world. But these measure our personality, which also attributes to our emotions, but we're really measuring differences and preferences more so than exactness. So that being said, our intellectual quotient, IQ, is tied to physical health, but not in the way most people think. Because if we know what's going on, we have a knowledge, okay, I need to live a healthy lifestyle, healthier lifestyle. Well, I know that, but unless I actually do it, that knowledge doesn't go anywhere. A higher IQ typically puts people in higher socioeconomic areas. They can make better choices because they have more money to make those choices with. They generally say, I don't feel so good and I need to go to see the doctor. And others, yeah, I know I got a problem, but it's not bad enough. I need to see a doctor. Again, an emotional assessment of something internal to us. I'm not feeling good. Go see the doctor. I'm not feeling good. I'll wait a little bit longer. And I, like almost everyone else, have been through these dilemmas where it can wait for tomorrow. No, you need to go to the emergency room. Let's just wait a little bit longer. And we have an ability with a higher IQ to communicate our situation better with our doctors. We also have better coping mechanisms to handle stress. And in the big scheme of things, a higher IQ generally leads to a healthier aging. Not always, but generally speaking. Again, knowing and doing are two different things. If I look at my emotional intelligence and my physical health, again, a little bit more difficult. It's a lot of hazy gray as far as that line goes. Where does it start? Where does it end? I don't know. But when I'm stressed and I have a higher emotional intelligence, I know that I have actions that I can take. Take a deep breath and hold it. Let it go slow. There are things that I can do. I talk about smiling a lot when I talk about stress management. One of the easiest things to do, almost instantaneous results. But sometimes no matter how much you smile, you cannot get over the fact that your mother-in-law is in the next room. Those things just happen. But understanding what you can do, again, you have to do them and you have to find out what is more effective. Obviously, healthier lifestyle choices make our longevity options better. But if I can't handle my stress, the things that I am really worried about is going to add up extra pounds around my waist, extra inches. I'm going to have problems with heart disease. I may have problems with, because of the inflammation, mental aspects of my health are going to be bad. Lots of issues there that I need to really and truly understand what is happening and what can I do about it. But when I have a decent emotional intelligence, I'm able to make those healthier choices, but I'm also able to adhere to medical advice more. In other words, they give me a pill, I feel better. I don't need these pills anymore. Well, part of the reason you're taking the pills is to feel better. So just because you're not taking it, and this is a big problem in health, mental health, is that they don't see what the other people see, the decisions they're making, the situations they're in, and all of a sudden they're taking pills, they feel great, and they stop taking the pills because they feel great and they don't think anything's changed. but we can maintain better, healthier relationships with a higher emotional intelligence. Now, as I said earlier, EQ, EI, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, are used interchangeably in the field. It's just one of those things that are there. Um, the subtle differences sometimes is in how you're using that terminology, the focus group, but in most cases, it's the perception of the evaluators more so than cold hard science. But if we look at things, scientists put things into a number. They want an IQ for an EI, my intelligence, emotional intelligence, intelligent. I should have a numbers that rank it. And they do. They sort of force fit things into an EQ score. They call them subscales and percentile ratings and all sorts of other standardized numbers. Do they mean anything to us in this discussion? No, they're just numbers, and they're for people in the business to do. But sometimes when you're doing your own research, yeah, there's things there, but do I really need to know what that number represents? Maybe, maybe not. But what I really need to know is what changes can I make? So if I don't want to know what affects or what changes my emotions, that to me is a better question to be asking myself. Well, we all have biological factors. Hormones trigger emotions. So our response is typically human. We learn about somebody's death, we learn about a birth of a child, somebody getting married, graduation, all sorts of things are going on in our lives. These biological factors trigger hormonal actions. Sometimes we get appraisals. You're no good in math. You can't write. Whatever it may happen to be, we're telling somebody who's 3, 4, 5, 6 years old that they're no good in something. In fact, most 18-year-old have heard the word no 80,000 times. I think I've read. But their perceptions, their interpretations that somebody else is putting on us because they did an appraisal. Just because we don't have that ability, my ability for people's faces and names almost non-existent. Well, not really, but my ability for numbers and concepts are, not off the charts, but much, much better. I can understand things if there's a number involved, if there's a feeling involved, or somebody changes their hair color. I'm lost anyway. But I understand that, and I understand where I'm lacking and what I need to do to change. The social environmental settings affect our health. Our coping mechanisms, that deep breath, that smile, the laughter, our personality traits, all sorts of things combine together to form that fabric of our emotional well-being. And sometimes that emotional well-being gets developed with our culture, but sometimes gets shattered by trauma. How many times somebody survived an automobile accident, everyone else was really injured or worse. You come back from being in the military, you're a police officer, lots of things happen. So if we're looking at our emotional health, one of the questions that I must ask myself is, what can I do? What can we do to improve our emotional health? One of them, big one, is relaxation. Something we don't very often do. I love to take a 7 or 8 minute nap, just in there, do my breathing, control everything, boom, set my alarm for 10 minutes, and I'm up 7, 8 minutes later. But relaxation, let the body just ebb all that stuff out. A lot of people love exercise. There are other lifestyle choices that get you out and walking and hiking and all sorts of things. Sometimes we need to do what's called cognitive restructuring. This is what happened. But if I reframe it a little bit, if I appraise it differently, I see things differently. So in other words, if I think of something that's unhealthy, but I take that same unhealthy picture and I change it to a black and white picture rather than a color representation, that downgrades that significantly. It's reframing it. It's giving me a different appraisal. If I look at it from a different mindset, if I'm looking at a picture on my cell phone versus a tablet versus my TV versus a movie screen, I have different perceptions of what's going on. So emotion focused coping. Again, now we're looking at families, our hobbies, gratitude. Thanksgiving and gratitude almost used interchangeably. There's a slight difference in meaning, but an attitude of gratitude is something that will really and truly focus as to what are you being grateful for, and why are you being grateful internally? And that exhibits itself in that emotional stability. Sometimes talking to other people, seeking help. Sometimes it's within the family, sometimes it's close friends. A lot of mind-body practices out there, biofeedback, yoga, Tai Chi, all sorts of things are out there. And with that, it looks like we got around to the end of this particular session. Everything that I've been talking about on Talking Heads is available on archived on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Go to the playlist, go to look for Talking Heads, Red O'Laughlin. And I've done lots and lots and lots, over 100 presentations so far on heart health, brain health, gut health, and the same things we're talking about here: stress, toxins, mental health, etc. So take a moment, go back there, look for something. More than happy to have you focus on an area that you want. Weight management, fat management, lots of things back there. And if I were to look at something today to help you, I would say sometimes understanding the causes of Alzheimer's, because there's a lot of triggers in there that we might recognize early on as a potential thing to change, that if we don't change, the situation could get worse. So I'd say my book choice today is Understanding the Causes of Alzheimer's. With that, I'll be back next week and finish up emotional health and jump right into mental health. Take care, have a wonderful time, and see you next week on Talking Heads on the USA Radio and TV and Radio Network, and on the E360 Radio Network, Roku Worldwide, and Amazon Fire. Take care, y'all. Bye now.
Women of the Caribbean and around the world, are you tired of the status quo? Tired of barely making ends meet? Tired of giving maximum effort for minimum results? Are you in need of change, a fresh start, a new outlook, a new perspective? It's time to break through. Join us along with women from around the world at the Empower Her Escape, a 5-day all-inclusive royal cruise to the Bahamas and Florida. Connect with world leaders and influencers and begin afresh your journey to more. Hear dynamic speakers with sessions on women in leadership, the importance of mentorship, how to start a business from the ground up, financial literacy, an integrated approach to wellness and wholeness, and so much more. Guest speakers include First Lady Anne-Marie Davis of the Bahamas, Her Royal Highness Katerina of Yugoslavia Lady de Silva, Her Royal Highness Queen Sekothali Mepena of South Africa, and Coach Max, Global Multi-Six-Figure Wealth Coach. Cruise packages include 2 nights at an all-exclusive resort, gratuities, taxes, and port fees, red carpet welcome and extravaganza, course materials, and a souvenir gift bag, flight not included. The Empower Her Escape Cruise takes place on May 15th through the 19th, 2024, departing from the port of Palm Beach, Riviera Beach, Florida. Hosts for this life-changing event are Coach Cherish Hollingsworth of Florida and Coach Mercy Gilbert of the UK. For more information, visit our website at www.empowerherroyalescape.com or call us at 954-203-6608 or email us at cherishresiliencecoach@gmail.com. Connect, collaborate, celebrate at the Empower Her Escape Cruise.
This program has been brought to you in part by Zane Carson Carruth, etiquette and protocol expert, international award-winning author, television show host, and philanthropist. Thank you to Zane, our official diamond sponsor for USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. Zane is the author of The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever, as well as many other children's books. She's also the television host of Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living, seen on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Bella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Bella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Bella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
To learn more about Zane, contact her through her website, zanecarruth.com, ZANECARRUTH.com. Order Zane's books and merchandise. Contact her about being a keynote speaker at your next event.